Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the JONCAST podcast. Today we are going to be talking about the latest episode of The Flash, Season 9, Episode 12. Before we get into that, like, subscribe, comment, follow. Engagement is always nice. All the good stuff. Find me on Twitter, find me on Instagram. You know the deal. Other than that, let's start getting into it. So I'm going to go backwards and then go forwards. So, I want to talk about the last review I did. So, after doing some internet snooping, I found out that Grant Gustin, Barry Allen, he ended up testing positive for COVID sometime during the process of shooting episodes. So, for the last episode, the majority of the reason he ended up not being in the episode most of the time was because he tested positive for COVID. At least that's my understanding of it. I'm happy he came out came out the other side. He's doing great, by all accounts, at least from what we see. Other than that, here we go. For me, I understand he tested positive for COVID. But for me, it doesn't justify such a poor quality episode. For me, I feel like they should have stopped production entirely. They should have just, hey, you know what? Let's stop, pause. Let's wait for Grant to recover. Let's wait for him to get better. Let's wait for him to be in the clear from COVID, and then we're gonna reassume production soon as he's better. I feel like that's what they should have done. I feel like they should have used that, like I said, I think I said it in last episode, we only have a 4-episode arc. And with these 4 episodes, every episode, the importance of each individual episode increases just because we're telling a whole story in 4 episodes. Now, for me, if we would have planned this out better, right? In the past, I don't believe if I said it in, I put a link in a last episode to something I did a while ago. Sorry. But I don't believe the Flash I believe the Flash will work better as anywhere between, right now it would be 13 episodes. If we did something like this for every season, I believe that it could have been better if it was planned out better. Because even from what I hear, the first half of the season was a disaster in its own right. But I always believe that this 20 to I think 25 episode count of in one season, I just felt like it's always too much. I always felt like because we have this many episodes, we get a lot more of these villain of the week stuff. Focus on whatever Team Flash is doing, whoever they decide to spotlight that episode, and it takes away from the main plot. Sometimes we may even go a couple weeks without revisiting the main plot because of all this stuff. And for me, I felt like if we plan this out in a good, solid way, we can have, we can always tell a great story with less of the, the filler portion of it. Like right now, I feel like, I already know, for spoilers, if it is, I don't know if you if anybody pays attention to what's out there, but it's been out there who, all the speedsters that's going to be in the final episode, at least from what I've seen. Even me not trying to pay attention is hard from that. It's hard to miss set photos that come out every once in a while. But we got Reverse Flash, Godspeed, Savitar, and Zoom. They're there. That's not a secret. It's not if you go search it on the internet, it is there. And if you follow the people I follow, it'll get posted in your face. But like I said, at the time, I really don't care. It's not a big deal to me. But going back to this beginning of the season, there's a speedster that was introduced, which was Red Death. But Red Death is not going to be a part of this. Now, if they wrote this out and thought about, hey, this is the final season, let's do a whole season-long storyline, we could have had the elements of Red Death and Cobalt Blue working together and still have Red Death even appear in the final, in this chapter, in this final arc as another one of the speedsters he had to fight, or just an additional, if everything was written out better. Because I think even that ended in the first 5-6 episodes. of the season, I think, from my understanding. But if we did that better, we could have had this whole storyline together. I mean, from what I decided to read on it, I wasn't for what they decided to do, Red Death, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah. So for me, I just wish they would have just said, hey, you know what? Let's, like I said, stop production and let's wait for Grant to come back so we can, do better. But aside from that, overall, I enjoyed this episode a lot better than the last one. Like, I hated, like I said, I hated the last episode, but I have like one overall negative, and then after that is mostly positive. So I'll start with the negative first. For me, what I didn't enjoy in this episode was everything that had to do with Cecile. There's no secret, like I said, when it comes to doing stuff that's focused on Team Flash, I could care less. I do not care. I really don't. I could care less about Team Flash. But with the whole Cecile portion, her portion of the episode was that she, in trying to find Barry, she transported her mind. I don't know how to say it, but they came up with a device to help her project her mind into the future, and she projected her mind into herself. And in doing that, she discovered that she only goes home to see her family maybe once or twice in a whole year, and that scared her. Because she I guess she felt like she was taking steps backwards, because I guess when we first met her, she was so just in work that she forgot, what it is to have a family, and she felt like she was taking a step backwards to that. Now, as nice as that all is, I really could not care. Like I said in the beginning, at the end of the day, because we only have 4 episodes to work with, each episode is of importance, but I want to assume that whole storyline could have been thrown in because of Grant testing positive for COVID, right? Like, that's an assumption I want to make. Like, maybe, maybe it was used to pad out episode time, right? That's an assumption I want to make right now. That's what I'm going to tell myself. So, other than that whole storyline, every time we went to it, every time we spent time in it, it was just so draining. I felt like the momentum of the episode just came to a complete stop. It just was like unnecessary. I didn't need it. It just felt like every time we went to it, I just wanted it to be done and over with. So that is pretty much my big major, negative drawback on this episode. Otherwise, the rest of the episode, we got all the story we needed to, get to the next episode, basically. Like I said before, I figured this whole episode was just going to be kind of just setting the stage for the finale. Like I said, I kind of was hoping, I think I said I was hoping for the reveal of the suit in this at the end of this episode of Eddie as Cobalt Blue. I was hoping for the reveal of that at the end of this episode, but that didn't happen. What if you see all on the internet, all the trailers that's come out, you don't see like just a still image or still a full body. You see him in the trailers. He is in the trailers in the suit, but you don't like he's either it's a fast cut or he's in the background where he's not in the focus of the shot, so it's kind of blurred out. But yeah, you can see it. If you just go look at the recent trailers. You had the trailer that came out right afterwards, and there's another trailer flowing out online that has a lot more of Thawne, Reverse Flash Thawne, Wellsabard, as we call him, the Wells version of Thawne. So yeah. With this episode, we picked up right where we left off with Eddie, and with Eddie revealing that he's actually Eddie Thawne, the one that died, stuff like that. We had the captain, don't remember her name, but she got sucked into a singularity for her troubles because she was trying to get him to go to, I believe, the hospital to try to figure out what's going on, and the negative speed force was like, So, yeah, so he ends up going to the Flash Museum. I might be talking fast to get through this, so sorry. But he goes to the Flash Museum searching for the Flash. And while he was in the museum, 2 things happened. When he was there, I guess the negative speed force projected a version of Nora West Allen XS that was his daughter if he stayed alive. So for me, it kind of threw me off a little bit when you first see her, because I was like, who is that? Then I saw her, like I really saw her face. I was like, oh, okay. So she had blonde hair, and she's a version of Nora that would have been Eddie's daughter if he continued to live, and it ended up being with Iris. So that was a little interesting. And then in that scene, that Singularity opens, starts sucking up into it, and we get Team Flash stepping into action, which is Chester, Allegra, and Cecile. But before we continue there, in all the time that I've watched The Flash, so season 1 to like 5, right? When we visited the Flash Museum a couple times, but I think this is the first time that it's been confirmed that the Flash Museum sits on top of Star Labs, where they're working specifically, where Team Flash is doing all their stuff. And it was just like a, I guess, kind of moment for me, because he also says it, Chester in episodes, he's like, who would think, what villain would think to look for where we work underneath the Flash Museum, right? And I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense, right? I guess. Okay. But yeah, I think I believe that's the first time it's ever been said that that's where they are in the future, at least. So XS Nora goes upstairs, the actual one goes see what's going on, and she sees Eddie. She recognizes Eddie. And then, cut the commercial. We come back. She's having a conversation with Eddie, and he's saying that I like that they bridged it together to help me as a person who doesn't actively watch The Flash. But he recognized her, and it kind of showed a flashback of when he saw her. I don't think I was watching the episode or The Flash during that exact episode when her and Bart went back in time to save the timeline. I know of it. I remember promotional photos of it, but I don't think I actually watched it. So I bridged it together that's how he knew her and how he recognized her. And he recognized, oh, you're Barry's daughter, right? All that stuff. And then, she explained to him, hey, we're going to figure out what's going on, all that stuff. And then she goes to send a message to her dad. And this time, the excuse for why the future Barry is not there is, I believe he is in space somewhere. I think they said he was on like the other side of the moon. I assume he would be with the Justice League, but I think he's on the other side of the moon-ish, something like that. And she sent a message to him to let him know about Eddie. And then it ended up, that message was going to take hours to get to him due to where he was in space. So that was the reason. Now, with that, I believe that the only time we've ever seen, like every time we've gone to the future, I feel like the only time we've ever seen, correct me if I'm wrong, feel free. I think the only time we've ever seen the future version of Barry is during the Savitar storyline, when he went to the future to find out what happened to Iris, or not even what happened to Iris, but to see if they ever found a way to stop her. And we saw the depressed version, emo Barry, with the long hair. He was in Star Labs by himself, and I think that's the only time that we've ever seen, like whenever he's going to the future, that future version of the Flash. I think. Could be wrong, but coming to mind right now, I think that's it. One thing I forgot to mention is with Eddie, we were going through the temptations of the negative speed force. So when he showed up at Flash Museum, he saw like a promotion, or not even a promotion, but something detailing the history of Reverse Flash and Barry, their fight, the many fights they've had over time. And that's when he realized that, he sacrificed himself for no reason, basically. Like he called it out that, hey, that's not what happened. I killed myself and he died. And then that's when it's revealed, hey, yeah, he's come back many times after that. So that's when he felt like his death was for no reason. So after Team Flash started trying to verify if Eddie was Eddie, Nora, after sending that message to Barry, she she saw the crystal, which I believe is, like the negative speed force itself, and she picked it up and it assumed control of her. And I gotta say, the acting of of her when she was talking to Eddie and basically cutting deep, saying things that was going to agitate him, saying things that was going to, throw him off, was just like, like it was just funny. Like, like I think there was a one point where she was questioning his manhood, like just going in. I was enjoying that whole part. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that part was funny. It was entertaining. But yeah. So after that, Barry reemerges from, I guess, the negative speed force, or just reemerges into the next timeline hopping that he's doing, and he sees Nora, realizes what's happened to Nora, and from there we go to Barry takes Eddie away, and they end up going to what's the West household, and what happens there is Eddie and Barry are having a conversation. Eddie's telling him how he ended up there, and Barry is, realizing that the whole house is kind of coated in negative tachyons, which is the energy of the negative speed force. And then he realizes that the negative speed force itself brought Eddie back, and it must want Eddie to be the new avatar for the negative speed force. So from there, we get basically the usual TV show thing of, is it really bad? If it brought me back to life and giving me a second chance at life, I have an opportunity to be with Iris again, all this stuff. And then, Barry is telling him that he knows that's not right. He knows that's not what Iris wants. He knows Iris will want him, to move on, stuff like that. Yeah, well, and then from there, cue back to Nora with the negative speed force taking over her. She's calling, she's in the city throwing down the gauntlet, saying, "Come fight me." But she's saying that, where's Eddie? And then Barry leaves Eddie on a note that he just says, "I know that you'll do the right thing." And then Eddie decides from there to go see Iris. And when he goes to see Iris, gotta say, one other thing in the episode, it's like, I think this episode is 26 years into the future from where we currently are. So I know it's 2049, but it's 26 in the future, 26 years into the future, and it feels like the only person who got older is Iris. Chester, Allegra, and Cecile, when we see them, they look like they didn't age at all. For Iris, she got the gray streaks, the gray streaks in her hair to show, age. And I guess, like makeup wise, they did a little something to her face to make her look older. And it's like she's the only person who aged in this time, I guess. That's how they made it look. I guess how it comes off to me. So Eddie goes to see Iris, and Iris basically tells him, hey, I'm happy to see you, but this is the life that I want. I'm happy here. She's happier than she's ever been, and she's like, even if I didn't know it at the time, Barry was always, the one. And that kind of was the last straw for Eddie. And Eddie decides, from that moment, that he was going to that he was going to become the negative speed force, or the avatar of the negative speed force. From there, I think I skipped a whole bunch, but we had Barry fighting Nora, and then we had the Flash doing his best Doctor Strange impression with, taking taking Nora back, destroying the negative speed force, that was taking over her at the time. We got that, but then we cut back to Eddie, and he's in the lab, Star Labs again, and he is looking into the negative speed force crystal, and he's seeing the life that he wants, which is with Iris, having a child, all that stuff. And then also we see the flashing of the previous speedster villains, Zoom, Reverse Flash, I don't remember if we saw Godspeed, but Godspeed, and Savitar. So okay, then we get the preview of the next episode. I recorded this video twice, so if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. The videos is blending together right now, but with the way the episode ended, I just wish they revealed Cobalt, the suit at least of Cobalt Blue. I even had in my mind that the negative Speed Force, all the previous villains was going to appear like at the end of this episode, but hey, it didn't happen. Whatever. But with the trailers, the trailer that was made, the trailer that came out, at least the end teaser, and then there's also another trailer that hit the internet, I think sometime yesterday, with Wells Bard. But it seems like it's going to be nothing but chaos, right? I kind of feel like this episode or the finale is going to end with somehow, some way, based on what was some words that were said. It seems like the evil speedsters is probably going to end up feuding amongst themselves over who actually gets to kill Barry, and that's probably going to be the opening that Barry needs to at least start turning the tide at whatever point that does happen. So it's it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of feeling like this episode is going to be a lot of action, a lot of chaos. It's going to be, a lot of stuff going on. Personally, I wish it was like an extended episode for it being a finale, but from what I see on the internet, everybody's saying that it's going to be a normal standard 42-minute episode with, not including like commercials and stuff. But I wish we just, had a little more. I hope it's not rushed, as I always said. I hope it's not rushed. I hope we end in a way that at least it is, a good way to end it off. Not it just rush for the sake of plot of some way that hey, we're just ending this now. But if it's a fulfilling, at least the end of the battle, and then also we get like a proper send off to all our characters. No spoilers maybe, spoilers not, but I was reading that I think Cisco confirmed that he wasn't going to be a part of the last episode, which is a bummer for me. I kind of wish we got the original Team Flash when it was just Caitlin and Cisco returning. Hey, could be wrong. He could be lying, because we know everybody be lying about stuff all these days. Could be surprised, but he put out there for the internet to see that he wasn't a part of the last episode. But hey, Stephen Amell wasn't going to take part in the last season as well. You know how that ended up, but hey, I'm holding out hope, right? So yeah, other than that, I'm excited from the episode. Next episode, I'm going to be doing the same thing, kind of breaking it down, giving my thoughts on what I'm seeing, but I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to expand a little bit more on just my thoughts entirely on the Flash. So since, I'm going to be talking from the end of the series, so I guess you can say in a way I'm recapping an old video I did. Like I said, I shared that before in one of these episode breakdowns, but I'm going to be kind of doing something like that. Just kind of going over how I feel entirely now that it's, it's over, it's done. Like that's it. My ups, my downs, where I started, where I am now, kind of thing. So stay tuned for that. Also, I'm going to be dropping another episode soon, with a friend from high school, along with Random News Giovanni. We had a whole conversation about sports, pretty much, mostly basketball, but we're just going to say sports. And I'm going to be dropping that sometime soon. It could be at the same time that you're seeing this, actually. But stay on the lookout for that. That's going to be dropping soon. Other than that, like I said, I'm still trying to work on this Resident Evil thing. Life is so hard to just be able to sit down for like an hour, because I think most of my videos is at minimum an hour, but so hard to just sit down for an hour to be able to play a video game with no interruptions, right? Like, that's what I want to do. Like I said, my goal is to try to finish that game with doing it the way I'm doing it now. I am debating if I'm going to play Jedi Survivor that way. I bought it day one, but I haven't played it yet. I did see all the reviews that it was buggy at launch, but it was a good game, solid game. So I'm hoping that at least by the time I finally do get to that, we are in a place of, hey, patches. Hope these patches fixed it. So other than that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.